This segment is once again by Colonel-Majora.
And he's going to be bringing us the age-old question. Flying or sailing? Which is better? Which is worse? And really, are either of them good?
Hello again, people. Colonel-Majora is buzzing in your eardrums once again for more legendary reflections. This time around, can you believe it? I'm actually literally reflecting on something. In the sense of actually looking back on something. And, well, thinking, you know. Anyway, for some reason, I've recently been coming back to this topic time and time again with people I speak with. About Zelda, obviously. And I just gotta let it out. I've spoken with many people, and for some reason, everyone disagrees with me about it. So here it is. Sailing in Wind Waker is so much better than flying in Skyward Sword. That's right. It's better in many ways. I honestly have trouble seeing why so many people think that it's not. Now, I'm not judging anyone else's opinion here, but I'm gonna go through all the reasons why I think that flying in the sky is inferior to sailing on the Great Sea. Okay, first things first. I get why people often dislike Wind Waker's sailing. Yes, it's time-consuming, and yes, Skyward Sword's flying takes less time, but sailing is still a lot more dynamic, and I think that's the big reason to like it more. Really, flying takes less time in only one sense. There are far less places to go in the sky than in the Great Sea, so really, like, rationally speaking, it's basically the same when you think about it. It's kind of hard to explain. But honestly, most of the sky islets are completely useless. And a lot of them are just sitting there for looks or to irritate the heck out of you with Octoroks sitting on them waiting to shoot you in the face. In Wind Waker, every island has a purpose, and something interesting is on every one. Something useful, something interesting, whatever you want to call it. And that kind of brings me to my next point. The enemies on the islands. In Skyward Sword, there are none. Minus the, again, irritating Octoroks and whatever's on Skyloft. In Wind Waker, there are loads of monsters waiting to be fought. And you don't have to go all the way around and fall through a hole in the cloud barrier to find them. That's just in Skyward Sword. Granted, you do still have to sail for a while, but that, again, directly leads to another point. The enemies you find on the ride between islands. Once again, Skyward Sword, just Octoroks. Wind Waker, a whole slew of stuff. There are sea platforms with treasures and enemies on them, submarines with extra challenges, random little battles with sea monsters, bokoblins on rafts and exploding barrels, and a whole bunch more stuff. Then there's the epic fights with big octos. Now in Skyward Sword, there was just the battle with Levius in the Thunderhead. And that was pretty cool, you know, like the actual concept I was waiting for the whole game, waiting to get in a big fight with some big monster in the sky. But it was kind of short-lived. At least the big octos get harder each time, or, well, depending on what order you go against them in, and you can use different items and stuff to beat them. And there are a bunch to find, and to get stuff from. Speaking of which, the Great Sea had all kinds of little treasures to bring up from the sea floor, as well as sea charts, treasures, and some mandatory things to haul up with different charts. The sky just had goddess chests, which was the same kind of deal as the sea charts, but the sea charts had that extra sort of seeking out feel to them. When you had to bring up the chart and your map on the same screen and see what islands the sea chart was zoomed in on. There's also the simple fact that flying was kinda boring. Sailing involved details like keeping track of your surroundings, your health, your navigation, and most of all, the time. And speaking of which, it really irked me whenever I'd forget that the darn loft wings would catch you at night. Sorry, would not catch you at night. I just kept falling over and over again. Wind Waker's Great Sea had a quiet and sometimes almost spooky atmosphere when nightfall came, and you'd always be waiting for that kind of new morning sunrise and fanfare thing. The only atmospheric changes in the sky was in the Thunderhead, and it was again quite short-lived as well. The Great Sea had a period of cursed storms and perpetual night that brought out the creep factor of the ocean and the islands. Like when you got to Great Fish Isle, there was no music. Just a silent, broken island. Literally broken. Because I find that, like in movies, video games give you that kind of comforted feeling with music. Even if it's like scary music, it kind of just makes you feel like this is right. This is how it should be. Like, the music fits it. While when there's no music, you just get that uncomfortable sort of feel, and Wind Waker got that. But I'll get to the music thing in a minute. On the water, waves often changed in force, causing slightly difficult controls and tactics that you had to use depending on what you were doing at the time. And lightning storms added a bit more darkness than usual, and not to mention the giant twisters that were much better than the little tiny ones in Skyward Sword. Now, again, back to the subject, even the music was better. Sure, the sky had that epic tune that really caught our attention. Like, it caught mine. It was really good. But it didn't really last. Like, it just, again, with the rest of the things about the sky, every time I came back, I just thought, oh, well, I know that music. I'm back in the sky having to do the whole flying, boring, traveling thing again. The Great Sea had its main theme, a darker theme during that cursed period, and its own hand-to-hand battle theme. And, like, with these music changes, among other things, you got... It felt like an more interactive thing than usual. Obviously, it's a video game. Of course, it's interactive. But music is very important to a video game. It's one of my top most important things. And with Wind Waker, it was one of those Zeldas where, like, you could instantly tell something was wrong when the music changed to be darker or more sinister, or, well, whatever you want to call it. This, along with any other style of music, happy, sad, whatever it'll be, is very, very impactful in Wind Waker. Now, this may all seem like nitpicking, but it all adds up to seriously needed detail when it comes to criticism. Some think that Wind Waker's details are just overly drawn-out elements, and others, like me, think they add very proper detail that the game needs and benefits from. Some think that Skyward Sword's simplicity of its flying mechanic makes it, like, streamlined, more, or rather less, drawn out, and easier to get used to. While others, again, like me, believe that this is in dire need of detail and needs more than just epic music and interesting controls to make it truly memorable. But you don't have to agree with me. I mean, a lot of people don't. I've even spoken with Din. She, from what I can tell, she hates the Great Sea and likes the flying mechanic. And maybe you guys too. And I guess that's okay, you know? Because if everybody agreed with me, this segment would be kind of useless. But anyway, if you want to make a rebuttal, or give me the pleasure of knowing even more reasons for liking the Great Sea better than the sky, smack me across the face with an email at Colonel-Majora@gmail.com. All one word. And that's pretty much it. I'll rant at you again soon, so good day, good night, and good game.
And there you have it, folks. Yet another solid submission.
From Colonel-Majora.
From Colonel-Majora.
I pick flying. Wow, I almost said it wrong. I pick flying.
See, whereas I like sailing a bit better, there's more to it. Although flying could be better if they made it better. They just didn't.
We'll move on to our next segment.